The following is a Tony Lasano podcast, an Opie production on the Radio Misfits Podcast Network. This is Minutia Men Celebrity Interview with Rick Kempfer and David Stern.
The following is a Tony Lasano podcast, an Opie show on the Radio Misfits Podcast Network. This is the Minutia Men Celebrity Interview with Rick and Dave.
All right, you may not know the name of Bobby Holland Hanton, but if you've seen Avengers Endgame, and based on the latest stats, it's a top-grossing film in history. You've seen that film, so you've seen him. He's the stuntman for the almighty Thor, Chris Hemsworth, which means that he has the exact same body type as Dave and I do.
What are you doing? Free weights there, Bobby? Or are you doing machine? What are you doing?
But it's a young man's game. We're happy for the youngster. Seriously, though, Bobby has done stunts in 48 different movies, and we're talking about some of the biggest movies ever. And so, I mean, the obvious question is, how do you get into the stunt business? How did that even start for you?
And what did your mom say?
Well, I mean, I think it's been part of my life since I was a kid. I was a gymnast from the age of 4, and I actually retired and stopped competing in Great Britain when I was 17 due to back injuries, and my Russian coach left and went to America, and I grew too tall, so it was time to knock it on the head. So my whole life has been a physical degree in a way, if you like. So it kind of went hand in hand for me when I went to do live acrobatic stunt shows and high diving shows, and high diving and trampolining, etc. So my whole life, as I said, has been very physical, and it absolutely lends to being a stunt performer. So it's kind of, as I said, it goes hand in hand. So it's worked out quite well for me so far today.
You've done pretty much every stunt imaginable. You've been blown up, you've fallen out of buildings, but what's your signature stunt? Like, if I'm a movie producer and I'm like, I gotta do this, let's call Bobby. What do you think is your like I said, your signature stunt?
Yeah, I mean, again, I think I've been very fortunate to have exactly that. I've performed a lot of stunts in the past 13 years, as long as my, film stunt career has been going. So, as you said, high falls, fire burns, everything. So for me, I'm probably known for the whole physical side of things, like parkour, free running, jumping around. And I'd say probably specialize in a lot of wire work. So over the last 13 years, I have done so much wire work, if that's ratchets, if that's flying from buildings, falling through glass, whatever that may be. So, and that's, wire work's quite unique in a way for a stunt performer, because you only really do wires if you are a stunt performer, and you can't really learn it, or, I mean, you can go to training camps and do it, but, to try and do it safely and rigged by professionals, it's something that you kind of only do in stunts in film and TV. So, as I said, from 13 years ago, I've been putting a wire and thrown across the room hundreds of times. So you start to get used to how those wires work and how your body reacts to getting pulled off your feet at 1,000 knots a second. So it's, I would say probably wire work would be my general all-round physical stunts is what I'm kind of known for, I guess.
What would you say? So, I mean, that sounds pretty dangerous. But what is the most dangerous thing that anyone has ever asked you to do? Have you ever been to a meeting where they say, all right, we're going to do this, and you said, no, I'm not doing that?
Listen, I mean, it doesn't really work like that. I mean, obviously, safety is paramount. It's the first thing that we make sure is put in place, and that comes with rehearsals. That comes with an experienced stunt coordinator and stunt team, and so everything gets rehearsed and is in increments, in very small increments, and we build up until it's safe to do it. So generally, it doesn't matter what it is, the whole team collectively can pull it off some way, shape or form, So it would be rehearsal period, and the rehearsal periods are the most important. Sometimes we start a film maybe 8, 9 weeks, 12 weeks before the film starts principal photography. So that gives us time to break down the script, break down the action sequences, and rehearse the stunt. So as of yet to date, no, I haven't turned down a stunt, but again, it's something that we can, as a team, you work together to get the job done, and that's what we pride ourselves on.
How big is the team? When you say the team, like what kind of people are you talking about?
It really depends how stunt heavy the show is. So if it's a superhero movie and it's Thor or Avengers or something along those lines, or even Extraction, for example, then the team's pretty big because you need a rigging team, which they guys do all the safety wires and cables, etc. Then you've got a fight rehearsal team, and then you've got, utility stunts, a general team that help out across the board, and then you've kind of got two teams in two different units. So you've got main unit and second unit. So it just really depends on what the movie is to actually how action heavy it is to actually be able to put that team together. But I mean, listen, it can be, our Avengers team was 30, 40 strong, and that was core every day.
Wow. You've done some dangerous stunts, but have you ever been driven in a minivan on an 18-hour road trip with three kids that were not potty trained? Because
I haven't yet, mate. I haven't yet. But we've got a little 8-year-old, and she's a handful enough, to be honest. We don't need any more right now.
Okay. Well, you haven't done some stunts that I've done.
So she's 8. Is that what you said?
She just turned 8. Yes.
So she's probably the exact height. Because when I had 3 daughters, like Rick said, they were all, they were 8 and 5 and 5. I had twins, and they would run into me continuously, and their heads were pretty much exactly where a very sensitive part of my body was, and I would crumble. Have they ever?
Where was that, mate?
Yeah, right. So, as a stunt person, have you ever had a crumble in pain after your daughter whacking you in a bad spot?
Luckily, no. She's listen. She's a little angel, really. She's pretty controlled when it can, and I think she knows when she shouldn't and should be doing things. So actually, not to date, and hopefully it stays that way.
Okay. Well, come on to Chicago, buddy. I've got 3 kids here. The Avengers stuff will mean nothing to you after a weekend.
He's a young man, Dave. He hasn't gone through the stunts that we have gone through yet, but you'll get there someday, kid.
I hear you. Yeah. One day.
So you've worked with a ton of different actors. And we always hear these stories like Tom Cruise insists on doing his own stunts. What actors have you worked with that, and stars that really do insist on doing, more than maybe they should? Have you ever worked with anybody like that?
Well, yeah, I worked with Tom Cruise on Mission Impossible Fallout, and that was my first experience working with Tom. And listen, he's a phenomenal actor. He's a great movie star, and he's a great athlete. He does his own stunts, but again, for him to be able to perform those stunts, it's the stunt team that work with him very closely. Wade Eastwood is a very good friend of mine, who's the stunt coordinator and second unit director for Tom and most of the last probably 8 movies. So it's about getting the team, and someone that that Tom trusts, and the team that he trusts, and it gets rehearsed with him until it's ready to shoot. So. Yeah, I mean, most of the actors I work with, they all want to do their own stunts, but generally it also depends on timing. It depends on which unit they're on and scheduling, and also insurance.
I was just going to say, that's a good reason.
If the actor gets injured, then they've got to shut production down until they're able to perform again, and that can cost a lot of money. So, it's got to strategically be, things have got to be put in place to make the engine tick, if you like, and get the movie done to its highest capacity, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. So you've worked on some of the biggest shows and movies of all time. You've been in Game of Thrones and Wonder Woman. You did a couple of the Star Wars movies, and people have seen your work. That's just a guarantee. What is the one project that you worked on that was the most fun, that you enjoyed the most?
I mean, again, I've been lucky enough to work on so many films that have been so much fun. They've all been fun in their own ways, but as standout movies, I'd probably say, Thor Ragnarok is certainly up there because of the whole experience that we shot in Australia on the Gold Coast with Taika Waititi directing, who is an absolute genius. He's a comedic genius. And any film I do with Chris is always fun because it's the same team that we've been, Chris, we've all been traveling around together now with Chris in the same team for the past 8 years. We've done 12 films together back to back, and he keeps the same team, and we're like one big family. It's great fun, and I guess every film we do with Chris is great fun. And I mean, Batman: The Dark Knight Rises was super fun for me for my own reasons. As I was on that show for 9 months. I'd just come back from a bad back injury, and I was fit enough to do the film. It was stunt doubling for Christian Bale as Batman. I was working with Buster Reeves and Tom Struthers and John Street, and the list goes on. George Cottle. It's a great stunt team. and we traveled some great locations around the States, Pittsburgh, LA, New York. So that's obviously another standout movie for me. And just recently, guys, I've just filmed a little indie action comedy called School Fight, which we're all playing, or me and my friends are actually playing the lead parts as well as doing our own stunts, which was, it's an amazing experience. My first kind of, it's my acting debut, if you like, with dialogue. And a friend of mine who's a very, very talented man, Damien Walters, he wrote it, directed it, and produced it, and we starred in it. So that should be out later this summer, hopefully. So kind of watch your space. But that was, again, amazing fun, because it was, you're working with your best pals on set, and
sounds great.
It's a comedy. So what more do you need? You know what I mean?
What's the name of the short, or what's the name of the movie?
It's not short. It's full feature, and it's called School Fight.
School fight. Okay. Well, Stuart Coy once kicked my ass, and when I was in 8th grade, if I see Stuart Coy in the neighborhood, I still walk away from him, and that was 45 years ago. So you don't want me to be, you don't want me to be in this, but as your stunt double.
He's not going to be your backup stuntman. Did you ever see the movie Once Upon a Time in America? Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
In Hollywood.
Yeah. Boy, man,
the new Tarantino movie.
Because that movie features a stuntman. Brad Pitt plays a stuntman with Leonardo DiCaprio, and the relationship between the stuntman and the actor is something that is actually pretty tight, according to this movie. And what you were describing with Chris sounds like that is an accurate portrayal of what it's like.
Yeah, I've seen the movie. I'm a huge fan of Quentin Tarantino, as I'm sure a lot of people are, and Brad Pitt and Leo. So I watched the film, and I guess there's, I answered this question not so long ago. There's definitely some similarities there, because we're very close. Me and Chris, again, I touched on, we've done 12 movies together over the last 8, nearly 9 years. So we've become very close friends, and his family's like my family in a way, and we had the same sense of humor. We're the same age, and we've worked very closely together for the last, best part of 10 years to and grown together. So yeah, absolutely, our relationship is amazing, and I speak to him on a daily basis.
You talked about some of the other people that you've doubled for, Jake Gyllenhaal, Daniel Craig, Ryan Reynolds, Chris Pine, Channing Tatum. Some of the other ones, Christian Bale you mentioned. Was there anyone that was difficult to work with?
No,
and it's just between us. No one will hear this.
No, do you know what? I think I've been so fortunate to work with some of the most amazing people, amazing actors, amazing directors, just all-round cast and crew. I've been so fortunate to be able to do that. And I really mean that when I say it. And everyone's been so professional, so much fun. And everyone that I've stunt doubled for, they've very much taken care of me and looked after me. I went on the Dark Knight Rises. I had to go to Christian Bale's house in LA and teach him the fights early on when we started, just towards the end of rehearsals. And what a legend he is, probably one of the best actors of our generation, but also such a lovely, humble man, and obviously a great dad and husband. And we chilled out in his garden and had lunch and did fight rehearsals in his garden. It was probably one of my most amazing experiences in my life. So I've been lucky enough to work with some amazing people, and may that continue. Chris is obviously well up there. He's one of my favorites, but don't tell him that.
Okay. Yeah, no, that's just between us.
Well, we've got him on the air right now.
You wish.
COVID-19, obviously, that has affected everything, certainly here in the States. Well, how are things going with COVID-19 over there, and how is that affecting? I would imagine everything is stopped at this point. Do you have any idea when movies are going to get back going or production starts? How are things going?
Yeah, again, over here, obviously, as you know, we got hit very badly, as well as the States and the rest of the world. So I think it's still very much, trial and error, and it's a grey area on what's happening. We are starting to slowly release restrictions and get back to somewhat normal, which will never be the same again, I believe. But the shops are starting to open, and there's new, obviously, rules that are, they're enforced to make sure that we stick to the guidelines, etc. So, if I'm honest, when it first happened and it first started, it was a huge shock to the system. Obviously, gyms being closed down, everyone obviously more importantly being ill, and people unfortunately, dying from this horrific, disease and what's happened. And I guess everyone was in meltdown and didn't know what to do. But I personally and the rest of my family have not adapted to it. I don't think that's the right word, but I think we've, taken on what's the most important thing to us now. And I think that, if we can take any positives from anything like this, which is very difficult at times, but you've got to try and take positives and move on, is right. That I think people will realize what really doesn't matter to them and what the important things are and what, the superficial things. And I've certainly, had a good time spending quality time with my family, right. Adapting to actually trying new things that you're kind of almost forced into in a way, whereas when I'm filming on set, we sometimes work 6-7 days a week, 14, 15, 16, 17-hour days, and you don't have time to do anything but sleep. So this has given me a chance to, again, towards the end of the year, I've acted in my first film, and I've written a children's book. So it's given me, I'm training and adapting to my training in the garden, and then trying to come up with ideas with no weights, which I do a lot anyway with the centre app I'm part of with Chris. And so, but you know what, the slower pace, the slower pace of life right now is something that I'm kind of trying to embrace as much as possible.
And the country's slowly coming back. Watching Premier League football is back with no crowds. It's kind of a little unusual. Have you seen any of those games?
Mate, yeah, I'm obviously a huge football fan. I'm Arsenal and Portsmouth, so as soon as it started again, it was straight. Yes, it was straight back on my TVs, and we've been watching it. It's very odd with the fake crowd, and and it looks almost like this in a training ground. But I mean, Liverpool were amazing last night. They played Crystal Palace and they won 4-0, which was some incredible goals. And Man City the night before that won 5-0. So, yeah, I'm very much watching. I mean, my wife's not too happy about it. But I'm very much watching most of the games every night, really.
Right. Yeah, I am too. It's on in the afternoon here, which is perfect. Dave and I, we have our own business. We're publishers. And so during the afternoon, we run our own schedules. I happen to have the afternoons that I can flick on the Premier League, and I spend hours watching it. I got to say, I love it.
Rick does a podcast, a soccer podcast.
I do. Yeah, it's called Free Kicks, but we talk about. I just happen to love football. It's my favorite sport. But
good on you, gents. Yeah, me too. It's obviously, as you know, over here, people go crazy for it. It's in people's religions to watch football. So it's huge here, and it's nice that it's back. And hope, the most important thing is trying to get bring it back and be safe is the most important. But to actually get sport back on the TV, I'm obviously a huge UFC fan as well. So I've been watching the fights, and getting sport back is kind of it stops everyone going too crazy,
So if people want to follow your career, do you have like a website or social media that they can follow to keep track of where you're going to be next and what stunts you're doing?
Yeah, I do. My Instagram handle is BobbyDazzler84, and I have a lot of behind the scenes stunt footage that I've done, footage with me and Chris together, and training, tips and stuff that I do with Centre, and it's got a lot of me messing around as well and having fun, which I try to do as much as possible. And there's lots of that. So yeah, I've obviously got my Instagram. My TikTok is Bobby Holland Hanton. Facebook, Twitter, all the same. And it's but yeah, trying to stay up with the times, gents, and stay up with these young kids with all these kind of social media platforms. But yeah, very much so. I'm trying to try and interact with more of that.
My daughter, I have, like I mentioned, they're now 14. My twins are 14, and one of my daughters are a huge Avengers fan. And when she found out that you were coming on, we have interviewed heads of states and movie stars or whatever. They don't care about any of those. But you have made by far the biggest impression on her. So
we're heroes for 1 week.
No, well, and I'm amazed. Like all of her friends too are really into this franchise, the Avengers, and she just got a ton of Marvel books from the comic store that's now opening up. Yeah, this is a huge thing, and
amazing.
Yeah,
what's her name?
Erin, EHREN.
Erin, a big hello from Bobby here. I hope you're well, and thank you very much for your support. I love it.
Oh, that's great.
Bobby, thanks for being on the show. We really appreciate it, and we wish you the best of luck. And please stay safe.
Yeah, right.
I'm worried about you.
No worries, Jen. No, seriously, thanks for having me, and let's do it again. I've had fun, and you guys are legends. I'm glad that you love football like us, and we'll talk more in detail next time.
Sounds good.
Well, when you're in the States, we'll show you baseball, because a lot of you guys don't understand baseball. I'll be happy to show you how to do baseball or tell you the rules.
I don't understand it, but it's something when I've worked in the States a lot, and it's something that I've made sure that I've been to every single baseball, basketball, ice hockey, and American football. I've done them all.
Have you been in Chicago? Have you visited Chicago? Have you done anything?
Yeah, I filmed Jupiter Ascending in Chicago.
Huh.
Oh, cool.
Well, next time you're here, you come to us.
We'll tip a pint with you.
Yes, and we'll watch Premier Soccer.
That sounds good, Jim.
Take it easy, Bobby.
Thank you. Really appreciate it.
Bye bye.
Bye.
I think he's really going to call us when he comes into town.
Ow! I just hit my knee on your desk. Ow!
You are a stallion.
No, what a great guy.
Yeah, I like him.
Just like us.
He is very much like us. Listen, there are times that you need to just pause and pay tribute. And I think it's time for us to do that to our executive producer, Tony Lasano.
We wrote you a poem, Tony.
OpiShows.com, because Tony works hard for us. Yeah. He's putting this show together.
Amongst other many great shows on OpiShows.com.
That's true. And if you were wondering about Opie, it's
Hippo backward.
It is. It's OPPIH shows.com. So thanks to our executive producer.
So
Tony
Emu
Lasano.
would be Umi backwards. Right?
Yes, that's right. Okay. Now do Eckhart's Press backwards. Yeah, you can't.
I'm terrible at Scrabble.
Yeah, you could not be Harry Carey. You could not do the backwards thing. We're distributed by Ed Silla with Radio Misfits. Great Talk Radio isn't dead.
Alice backwards. Silla is Alice backwards.
Oh, very good. Great Talk Radio isn't dead. It just moved to a better place. RadioMisfits.com. And we'll be back again next week with another episode of
Minutia Men Celebrity Interview.
The preceding was a presentation of Opie Productions. Find our other great shows wherever you find podcasts, including OpiShows.com. Thank you.
This has been a presentation of Opie Productions.
Tony, can you shut up?